The Philippine Digital Measurement Standard, established in 2017, is called E². They stand for exposure and effectiveness. In this video, we will take a look at what exposure and effectiveness mean respectively, and how you can get started using this framework for your digital marketing campaigns. Exposure metrics refer to audience measurement. Exposure metrics give marketers an idea of how many people saw the message, the quality of the audience, and the efficiency of the distribution. Exposure looks at three areas: reach, which measures the scope of impact in terms of scale and volume of audiences who were hit; quality, which measures the relevance and quality of the audience reached; and cost, which measures the resources required for the desired result. The other half of E², effectiveness metrics, measures the impact of campaigns on driving awareness, consideration, purchase intent, conversion, and loyalty. In order to measure the full effect on digital, exposure and effectiveness need to be taken together. Thus, E². E² also presents a measurement framework that covers different stages of the conversion funnel. Exposure and effectiveness, for now, will focus on the top and middle parts of the funnel, namely awareness and consideration. To understand exposure, let's take a look at two of its subsegments: paid and owned and earned. Paid and owned metrics will be defined for each digital experience. DMB defines digital experiences as how audiences interact with the medium. Experiences are agnostic of the platform where the exposure is served. For this video, the experiences covered are video, search, display, and own websites. Earned metrics will focus on the quantity and quality of earned reach. Earned metrics, on the other hand, will focus on the quantity and quality of organic reach. Earned metrics can be measured on top of paid and owned or as a standalone. For example, video experience A has both paid and earned components. Therefore, video A must be assessed using video metrics under paid metrics plus earned metrics. Video experience B, on the other hand, has no paid component and will only be assessed using earned metrics. Exposure metrics can be positively influenced through delivery, which is media, or through good design, which is creative. As you can see on the screen, exposure metrics will be further classified into three: reach, quality, and cost metrics, respectively. First, let's tackle paid and owned metrics for video. Reach and frequency will be the core metric for video, as reach and frequency facilitates easier comparison between video platforms, even traditional screens like television. 40% of display and 35% of video ads are never seen. This happens for two main reasons. Ads are served but never seen, which usually happens because you need to scroll down before you can see the video, and fraudulent views from bots. To rid the ecosystem of impressions that were never seen by a human being, the industry came up with a standard for measuring impressions that are actually seen. This concept or measure is called viewability, which is the opportunity for a real human to see an ad. When looking at reach, it is therefore important to consider three factors: the person, that the ad has been viewed by humans and not bots; screen, the ad must enter the viewport screen; and duration, the ad is on screen for 2 continuous seconds. This highlights the necessity of including viewability as an additional layer to reach. Achieving reach and frequency sufficiency is just the first step. Quality defines the properties that determine how hardworking the media placement is for the brand. There are a number of recommended metrics that can be used to measure quality, keeping in mind the platform where the video is consumed, as user behavior differs by platform. Completed view is a metric that standardizes the definition of view across different video platforms. This metric also makes view measurement length agnostic, allowing advertisers to assess the full ROI of a produced asset, that is, eyeballs versus cost of produced seconds. Average view duration is a metric that must be set by the advertiser based on the creative's watch time objectives. Hence, it is essential that the advertiser is mindful of the point in the video when branding and messaging are delivered in order to determine when an impression can be considered a quality impression. Audibility, or sound on versus sound off, must also be considered, as this may affect message delivery depending on the platform. Second, let's take a look at paid and owned metrics for search. Keyword coverage and share of impression, or SOI, are the reach metrics for search. These metrics are highly correlated to the number of eyeballs an advertiser could get in a search environment. On top of reach, click-through rate or CTR, and quality score are metrics that must be considered to measure search quality. For a holistic assessment on search, cost per click or CPC must be measured to give indication of search efficiencies and the combined effect of metrics mentioned above. Third, let's talk about paid and owned metrics for websites. For websites, unique site visits is the primary reach metric. Measurement of paid versus organic traffic can be done depending on the campaign or website objectives. To measure the quality of reach, metrics to measure would be bounce rate and view duration. Depending on the objectives, other metrics can also be measured. Fourth, let's take a look at paid and owned metrics for display. To reflect the different ways of buying and implementing display, the metrics for the experience will be segmented into three: programmatic standard display, programmatic rich display, and direct display, each of them with their own specific differences. Feel free to pause the video at this point and go back a few seconds to compare and contrast the differences between each display segment. Fifth and last on exposure metrics, let's take a look at earned metrics. Social platforms have a very important role in generating reach and talkability here in the Philippines. Whilst most of the experiences within the social environment are boosted with paid media, a huge benefit of digital marketing is that it allows for an easy and somewhat trackable multiplier effect on investments made on paid and owned media through engagement and sharing. Nielsen has indicated that 91% of Filipinos trust opinions of people they know. This is ranked first, and 75% trust stranger consumer opinions posted online, ranking fifth in making purchase decisions. Earned metrics can be measured on top of paid and earned metrics or as a standalone. Earlier in this video, we mentioned that effectiveness metrics measures the impact of campaigns in driving awareness, consideration, purchase intent, conversion, and loyalty. Effectiveness aims to understand the influences of digital on brand awareness and mind measures. Since awareness and attitudinal measures can provide a precise idea of how digital can move consumer knowledge, beliefs, and intentions, effectiveness metrics will mirror the marketing conversion funnel. The four funnel metrics in establishing basic effectiveness are awareness, consideration, purchase intent, and sales conversion. Awareness is a measure of respondents' knowledge of an object or an idea. Consideration is a measure that evaluates competing purchase options. Purchase intent is a measure of respondents' attitudes towards buying a product or service. And sales conversion, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. In determining effectiveness metrics, we will approach it in two phases. Phase 1 is determining criteria of reviewing metrics, methodologies, and sources. To keep the integrity of measurement in the Philippines, the Digital Measurement Board, or DMB, and the Marketing and Opinion Research Society of the Philippines, or MORES, have initially selected two criteria where all metrics, methodologies, and sources or partners will be assessed against. The first is validity of methodology. This tackles the question of, does the variable measure what I want to understand? It is about how close the tool measures what it claims to measure. This criterion is therefore about how accurate the metric is compared to reality. The second is the reliability of methodology. This answers the question of, are the results repeatable using a succession of samples or trials? When a measurement tool produces consistent results under consistent conditions, the measurement tool is said to have a high reliability. Phase 2 is mapping of metrics with partners per stage in the conversion funnel. Given the agile nature of digital, DMB and MORES believe that the measurement standard should be inclusive to both tested research methods and emerging digital methods. This can be through market research, publisher-sourced, and digital behavior monitoring. Now, how do we put exposure and effectiveness into practice? Using a hypothetical campaign, below is an illustration of how E² can be used in practice. An advertiser created a long-form video to lift brand affinity measures amongst its target audience. Based on the advertiser's past campaigns, long-form digital films can lift both brand attributes and revenue. The asset is a 2-minute story, with branding at the end of the material. While reach will be delivered via paid media, the advertiser and the agency would like to drive talkability through earned and organic shares. The E² application thus looks like this. As the video material is branded only at the end, Completed views and cost per completed view are critical video exposure metrics. Music and spoken dialogue are vital in telling the story. Thus, audibility is also an important exposure quality metric. Given the intent of using earned media to drive talkability, all three earned exposure metrics should be added on top of paid exposure metrics. Since the marketing objectives of the campaign aim to drive brand affinity measures and generate incremental revenue, an end-to-end funnel assessment is necessary to measure effectiveness. Brand recall, brand perception, brand favorability, and purchase intent are the effectiveness metrics. The advertiser and the agency can then reach out to DMB's roster of measurement partners to identify methodologies and benchmarks for the campaign. For example, for exposure, there's publisher-sourced data from brand dashboards that can be used. For effectiveness, a Lyft survey can be commissioned to measure recall, perception, favorability, and purchase intent metrics. The E-squared framework is the first industry measurement standard in the Philippines. So you should expect that changes and developments will be applied in the future. Thanks for watching and all the best in your measurement journey.